Hey guys, today I want to talk about, is the chaos in the world really that much of an expat issue? You know, when I look at the Ukraine, this is what I think of. I think of if Russia attacks them, Russia attacks Ukraine and tries to take over, I can almost guarantee you that the Chinese are probably going to do the same thing at the same time just to keep ahead of things and keep things chaotic in the world with the United States. We can't fight two wars on two different fronts. That's for sure. Maybe we can, but you know something? At some point, it's gonna get bad and it's gonna get nasty. And I'm not sure that it's not gonna affect expats. I think, and I honestly mean this, is this. We are sharing bases now in here with the Philippines, and I'm listening to some of these presidential picks out there, and I don't want to talk too much about comments, but I just want to say this. Pay attention, guys, to what these guys are saying, because it may change your mind about whether you want to come to the Philippines to stay here permanently when you listen to some of these people that are talking, okay? Because if you think it's chaotic now, it can get a lot worse, or it can get a lot better, depending on who's in there. And some of the stuff that I heard the other day is downright scary, because I think that a lot of times the Philippines gets kind of afraid when China, the big bully on the block, starts pushing people around, knowing that they can't fight back. So they want to stay kind of neutral. And I don't think neutral is a place we can sit on in this world, because China will just take advantage of that. They'll just walk all over you, come in and say, all right, we're going to start using up your fish. We're going to start using up your gold. We're going to start using, you know, this, and this, and whether you like it or not, and that's it. And the Philippines really can't say that much. And granted, the Philippines is buying these missiles and stuff, but if the political climate changes here, and it swings more to what we don't want, then we're in trouble. You know, I think possibly we could see some people leave here because of the political climate here. Now, I'm one that just kind of ignores it over here, but sometimes it's getting hard to ignore. I mean, I'm just being honest, you know. And a lot of guys come over here and they say, "Well, I'll never take my girlfriend back to the U.S. or whatever." But you know what? There may come a time where you might have to. If you really love the girl, it might be worth taking that chance. If she's really, really young, then I might have second thoughts. But if she's an older woman and she's more settled into the relationship, take her back. If that ever happens. I'm not trying to scare people by any means. You know, here we are, we're opening the doors and we're talking about this still. Because you know what? It's the big pink elephant in the room. And it's right there, right in front of you. You know, China's right there all the time. And the political climate, both here and in the United States, is also in the room. And there's not much room in the room left for moving around. And that's for us expats. You know, what are we going to do if all this stuff happens? We have stuff going on in the U.S. We have a political climate in the U.S. that's just a downright mess. It's chaotic throughout the world. The political climate in Asia, the Philippines, and a lot of other places, let's face it, it's kind of scary on some days. I love it here. Most of the time I don't pay attention too much to the political climate, but we do have elections coming up. And I can't talk too much about politics, so I'm trying to stay off who and what and all that stuff. I just want to say to the expats, pay attention. Things are changing, and it might change for the worse. Let's see what happens. God forbid we get somebody in here that's pro-China or something like that. There's not much we can do. We have to either choose to live here, live with it, and see what happens. But if something happens overnight, what are you going to do? Might be a mad rush to that airport. And you know what? You ain't getting your girlfriend on there. Okay? You might get your wife on there if she has a U.S. passport, but you ain't getting a girlfriend on there. So these are all the things you have to think about. Really think. You know, do you love your girlfriend enough to try to get her back on a fiancé visa if things start changing? And, you know, you go down, try to do all that stuff? Do you really love her enough? You better think about that. Because that's the stuff you have to think about over here. But, you know, let's hope things go for the better. I think that some of these politicians that are in there, that are running, are going to probably see a lot of expats around now. and maybe they'll swing a little bit more towards the US. I'm hoping. But in all honesty, I don't see that happening. But we don't know. You know, we just have to kind of cross our fingers and say prayers and just hope for the best and see what happens. But anyway, that's my thoughts about that. I also want to talk a little bit about dangers around here in the Philippines. A lot of people have been contacting me about Mindanao and some of the southern areas and asking me, hey Steve, I want to go to the bottom of the country and live down there. And I always tell them, you know, stay in the upper half and you'll be fine. You get into the lower half, it gets a little kind of sketchy down there in some places. Is it like that everywhere down there? No, it's not. You know, I'll be the first to tell you, there's a lot of good, safe places down in Mindanao. Even in the lower half, you can stay. But once you leave those places, it's not as safe, okay? There's been kidnappings down there. There's unrest down there. There's a lot of issues. You don't want to put yourself in a really bad spot down there. So be careful, guys. Anyway, guys, I just want to throw that out there just to let you guys know what's going on here. And pay attention to the political climate, for sure. Watch the news on it, Google it, and follow it. Because there's a lot of stuff being said by a lot of the politicians here. And as expats here, you should be paying attention to that. You know, we can't talk much about politics, and that's why I'm kind of staying off who's saying it, what's being said, things like that. I'm just saying pay attention because it does affect us. God bless, guys. Take care.